Have you ever paused in this very instant to really consider what you're feeling? What are you actually feeling right now? And have you ever questioned why? And what's the connection between your emotions, your feelings, and your mood? Where do they come from, and where do they go? Today, we're delving deep into the hidden principles of emotional force, revealing the secrets behind these core questions. We're examining the nature of emotions and their relation to the laws of physics. Welcome, Reality Wranglers, to the only channel bold enough to tackle the big questions. What is the nature of emotions? Emotions are fundamental forces and principles to reality and our consciousness. And emotions are divided into two primary parts: negative emotions and positive emotions. These two types of emotions share a commonality with the law of physics, known as the law of energy conservation, and most of us know this law. Energy cannot be destroyed nor created, but can only be transformed or transferred from one form to another. So, on the other hand, negative and positive emotions also work like energy, as they share the same law of conservation of energy. This has now become the first law of reality. Emotions cannot be created or destroyed, only transferred or transformed from one emotion to another. Think of it as you can't magically summon love or completely eliminate hate. They can only be transferred and transformed. This applies to all emotions. This means sadness, joy, fear, love. None of them simply appear or vanish. They shift, evolve, and transform form. So how does this law fit into real life? Let's put this to the test. Let's try this. With a goal to provide proof and solid evidence of this first law of reality, love's transformation. Try to instantly have the same level of love for a stranger as you have for someone very close to you. It's impossible. In theory, why? Because love isn't created, it's cultivated or transferred. That's why love takes time to build in the first place. And even love at first sight, as we mostly believe that it happens instantly. But that is not the case. Instead, it existed in one of the two individuals before, and it kept on increasing at a slow rate without the individual noticing it. Or try to eliminate the love you deeply feel for another individual instantly. Love can't be destroyed. However, it happens sometimes to dislike the people we love. It simply doesn't destroy the love which was once present in you before. But instead, there are negative emotions present in you related to the other individual. And those negative emotions are tied to your personality, and their overwhelming effect results in you finding it hard to tolerate the individual. Here is another test: gratitude's flow. Can you instantly feel gratitude for someone who's never done anything for you? Gratitude is a response, a transformation of our perception and feelings based on experience. And these rules stand for all emotions. The inevitability, trying to create or destroy emotions would violate the fundamental principle of their conservation. Even forcing yourself to feel a certain way results in a transformation of existing emotions. So how does the transformation of emotions happen? Or what does the term emotions can only be transformed from one emotion to another mean? In physics, it happens through processes like motion, heat transfer, and chemical reactions. Then what about emotions? What transformation does it take? There are several ways that we humans transfer or transform emotional force. The first way that emotional force is transferred is called vibing, also known as vibrating. This refers to the process by which an individual releases small amounts of emotional force, whether negative or positive, to those around them. Examples: the release of anger or joy, among other emotions. This transfer may also occur consciously or unconsciously, strongly felt by other individuals. Think of it more like when we party with the people we love. They all vibe together, and each individual releases small amounts of positive emotion. This is often driven by an overwhelming sense of joy, and that brings the feeling of a party to life. Secondly, we have absorbing emotions. This is the process where an individual becomes charged with negative emotions. Negative emotions, as seen earlier, can be absorbed, as anger will lead to a bad mood. And we sometimes try to bear and forget about it. And it mostly requires time for a successful absorption of the negative emotion. But in some other cases, we lash it all out on others, and even more exceeding what we felt ourselves in the first place. So in that case, there isn't a need for the absorption of that force again, since it no longer exists in you. The force was transferred to those individuals. Third, motivation. Motivation helps us to decide on how to vibe and how to transform negative and positive emotions and making us in charge of our life. Motivation works along with our free will as our advisor. Fourth, emotional force transfers. For this type, this is the most intense transfer because a significant amount of emotion can be fully transferred onto an individual. So in every human, there are two main emotions that have a lot of potential beyond other emotions, and they are known as love and anger. Love. With the help of love, we can transfer our negative and positive emotional force. This is what we can potentially transfer if we happen to have full control over the emotional force of love. We could potentially transfer sadness, fear, disgust, shame, anxiety, jealousy, hate, joy, love, gratitude, happiness, excitement, and the possibilities are endless. And by saying love, we don't always refer to romantic love. We speak of love in general, including the love of being attached to physical things. Let's quickly learn about the other negative emotional force, anger. Anger. No matter what we mostly believe about anger, as we often feel angry, the emotion itself is based on true facts and reasons based on our overall emotional storage in us, which is our personality. No matter who it is, the feeling of us thinking that we are always right is absolutely correct and justifiable. And as anger is a force, people are unable to feel it exactly as we do, and we are mostly judged, and as it gets overwhelming, we might express it in a way that doesn't fit with others. And then that emotional force of anger is now transferred to others. And as evidence of the feeling being successfully transferred to others, we feel relieved, as the feeling of after avenging ourselves. So then that is mostly where we get it wrong. As emotion is a force, it will not just end. The journey continues in those other individuals. And we risk so much by letting our personal emotional force as anger inside a stranger. There is a big chance of that emotional force bouncing back on us as a virus. So if the other individual doesn't manage it correctly, it might bounce back straight on us through our subconscious and could be there present as an emotional virus. So there are several ways to explain this phenomenon, as throughout human history, there are many sayings that have been relating to this new term of emotional virus. And one of those sayings is mostly known as, what goes around comes around. So to understand it further, the question to ask is, what really goes around to come back around? So for that to be possible, the thing itself should be a force or energy. Then emotion is what goes around to bounce back to us as the term comes around. So then it is safe to state that emotion goes around and comes around, but it doesn't come back as good and trustworthy emotion, but it comes back as a virus and enters our subconscious. So in other words, when we transfer negative emotion as anger to other individuals, we are at the mercy of those individuals holding our emotional force in them. So what truly happens when the emotional virus attacks our subconscious? And how does the other individual have to behave in order to minimize or increase the virus emotional transfer? And what is the nature of the emotional virus itself and how to avoid it? Those are the questions we will be discovering next time on Reality Rhythm. Until then, stay safe and avoid reacting out at others. We've only discovered the surface of emotional forces. Join us as we delve into the emotional virus in our next episode. Subscribe to stay informed and ask your questions in the comments. You'll find further resources in the description. Remember, emotional force shapes your reality. Let's continue this journey together. Thank you for watching.